Hockey's minor league system, generally speaking, doesn't lend itself to a lot of talk about tiers. It's not like baseball where you go from single A to double A to triple A and whatever. But it does have one specific position where that applies, and it's worth keeping an eye on this year. Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots on the two teams in town that are not currently playing in games. The Penguins and the Kraken face off tonight at PPG Paints Arena. That's at 7:08 p.m. I'll be there covering it for DK Pittsburgh Sports. One of Tristan Jarry or Alex Nedeljkovic will be in net. None of the Penguins' really promising young goaltenders will be anywhere in sight, and I am increasingly not okay with this, as you might know. I only bring it up all the bleeping time, but there's a reason for it. The Penguins' goaltending, cumulatively, not just picking on Jarry today, has not been good. When you're talking about a collective save percentage that's .888, no. Jarry's at .890, Ned's at .886, no. Now, can you make a viable, professional NHL backup out of Ned? Sure, absolutely. In fact, that's why he was signed to the 2-year extension this past summer. But the idea that either of them is going to be the one that's driving you, no. And yet, in Wilkes-Barre, you've got not one, but two goaltenders doing really well. One of them you know about, I'm guessing, that's Joel Blomqvist, because he's the one I bring up all the time. He's 23 years old, .912 save percentage after his AHL All-Star rookie season, 2.93 goals against. He's getting the job done down there. More important, way more important, in my eyes, when he was up here early this season, due to injury and due to Jarry going back down to fix himself for a month or whatever that was, Blomqvist showed the Penguins the best goaltending they've seen. And this idea that he's too young or not experienced enough, I don't get it. Matt Murray was 22 when he won the first Stanley Cup with the Penguins. 22. Blomqvist was older. Blomqvist right now is older than Murray was that night in San Jose. And once he's already begun to show you that, and he's built up that confidence, he's shown you the poise, whenever he did give up a lousy goal, he shrugged it off immediately, didn't let anything beat him up, wasn't getting hit by untimely bad bounces. He was working hard. He was in command. He was talking to his defenseman. Whatever it is that you fear about a young goaltender, it's not obvious when you watch him. Now, there's also Philip Larson. He's 26, and while that sounds like journeyman material, he has spent most of his time in his native Sweden, coming back only this season, and he's been really, really good. I mean, .931 save percentage is tied for third best in the American League. It's only through 12 games, but it's .931. He's got a 2.3 goals against average, and out of his 12 games, 4 of them have wound up in shutouts. And you're not even going to give him a look? You're just going to let him keep doing that down there? But this is where it gets interesting. You have Blomqvist, you have Larson. And as a result, and this is, by the way, all of this is eminently to Kyle Dubas's credit, that you brought in this much goaltending, or you acquired it through some means or other, and still thought, let's bring Larson over. Sergei Murashov, who was just flooring people in training camp, including the Penguins veterans, had to be sent to Wheeling to make sure that he stayed active. And this takes me back to what I mentioned about the tiers. if you're a forward or you're a defenseman in the ECHL, you've got yourself one heck of a climb to make it to the NHL. It's not impossible. People do it, but it's a challenge. Not so for goaltenders, because there's only so much time in the net and only so many players in the system. Take it from Thomas Vokoun, you can make it. And Morozov goes to the Nailers, and he has produced, sit down for this if you're not aware of this, okay? He has a 13-game personal winning streak. His overall record is 14-2-1. He's got a .924 save percentage and a 2.3 goals against. That's mind-blowing. He's 20 years old. I know, it's the ECHL. I know those guys aren't exactly Ricard Raqueling the puck, bar down. But they still generate scrambles around the net and rebounds and all kinds of actions that get replicated at the NHL level. The skill set as a goaltender, this is what I'm trying to say here, within the ECHL or for that matter the AHL, isn't anywhere near as different as it is for a forward or a defenseman. You've still got to stop pucks. You've still got to swallow your rebounds. You've still got to get behind the net and play the puck. You've still got to do a lot of things that are more common for a goaltender than sizing up some elite superstar snipe. So this needs to get solved, and it needs to get solved, I believe, sooner rather than later, if only for the benefit of the parent club. But as long as you're at it, whichever guy you pull up here from the AHL, you'd then be taking Morozov from Wheeling to Wilkes-Barre, having him share the crease with whoever's left behind, and advancing his cause. Now, see, here again, this is something that we talk about in baseball and hardly ever in hockey, but the last thing you want to do is stunt the development of your top prospects. When we come back, J1Q. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. Today's J1Q comes from Rich, who says, DK, another key problem with the Penguins lies with role players like Noel Acciari and Matt Nieto. The penalty kill has regressed to 79%, ranking 24th in the NHL, and this decline should have been foreseeable to anyone familiar with the game, given the personnel being put out there, right? And to be clear, I'm not pinning the blame solely on Acciari. While I don't rate him highly as a player, he puts in an honest effort. His game isn't meant to be flashy, and that's fine, but a fourth liner should inject some energy and spark, which he simply doesn't bring. I could not agree more with this, and I say that, and I always feel like I couch anything that I say about Acciari with an asterisk of immense respect for what he does sacrifice for the team, which is nothing less than his own well-being. There's all kinds of accolades that you could put on someone like that. It doesn't mean they're helping you win the game. When I think of guys who are role players, I'm gonna make you sore about this, especially with Seattle in town today. But I think of Brandon Tanev. I can't imagine how different the Penguins would look today if Ron Hextall hadn't just lost his bleeping mind and let both Tanev and Jared McCann go. These were guys who were fast, high octane. They could score you, whatever it was, 10, 15, 20 goals. In McCann's case, obviously more. And they added a vitality. You could feel it when they were on the rink. And believe it or not, I'm not, getting old school here on you and saying that Tanev would hit people or whatever, because Tanev was really smart in picking his spots for that sort of thing. He wasn't just unless he felt like the situation warranted, he wasn't just running around running up checks. He was hitting people for a purpose. And you had him here, and you had him here at a fairly affordable rate for someone who does what he does, and you were happy to pay it. $3.5 million was what he was getting in Pittsburgh. That was the contract that was signed when he was brought here after being in Winnipeg. And, you loved him. I could say something similar about Jason Zucker. The Zucker's obvious shortcoming was that he gets hurt so much and misses so much time. But that has to be part of what this team is doing. And I'm just talking about this season. I'm not talking about any, big scope franchise's future kind of thing here. Achari doesn't do that. Getting all the attaboys when you come back to the bench after blocking a shot isn't the same thing as having a productive shift. I'll repeat this from yesterday, but if he blocks 2 shots in a game, which is, a standard average for someone in his role, if you block 2 shots a game and the other team took 70 attempts, and there was a really, really, really good chance that your goaltender was going to stop that shot anyway, what are you doing? Well, you better be doing more. And it isn't there. And all of that is a level or 2 or 3 higher than what you get from Nieto, which is, I don't want to sound mean here. This is like a really cool guy, okay? And really great personality. But he's not getting anything done out there. And if they aren't killing penalties well, and by that I mean all of them, as you said, it's not fair to just single out Achari and Nieto whenever things don't go well on the PK. But if the PK isn't going well, then they just, I don't know how you justify having them in the lineup, especially if there's anyone who is internally and legitimately perceived to be banging on the door in Wilkes-Barre. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. Again, I'll be at the rink tonight, and we'll do another one of these tomorrow.